Hi everybody, here we are again. We're going to do some more with factoring trinomials today. This time, instead of it being just an x squared or an a squared, we're going to start with a number, so like 5x squared or 2x squared in the front. So that's going to be a little bit different, but same process applies. We're still going to be doing our diamond and making our box and just trying to factor through that way. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get started, and I'll see you guys later. So I'll do like a little short video with a couple examples, and then I'll come back. So I'll do it in two parts again like I did yesterday, just so that it's not so much all at once. So if you get it after the first video, you don't have to come back and watch the second video. All right, let's get going. So we are looking at factoring our polynomials. So we're going to do the same thing we did yesterday. And that is, we're going to start by, I'm going to kind of make my diamond, or find the top of my diamond. I'm going to be multiplying 3t squared with the 4. First term times the last term. So now we actually have something to multiply together. 3 times 4. So the top of our diamond is going to be our 12t squared. And then the bottom of the diamond is our middle term, which is just going to be our 8t. All right, so now what we're trying to come up with, we've got to find our new terms. What could multiply to make 12, but also add to make 8? So here we get a few more possibilities. So 12, we could have 12 times 1, but 12 and 1 are not going to make 8. We could have 3 times 4, but that's going to make 7, not 8. So we could have 6 times 2. And 6 times 2 makes 12, and 6 plus 2 makes 8. So that's where we're coming up with our new numbers. So if you're not sure, we're basically just kind of working through our factors to come up with our values. So our two new terms, they go in the corners. Wait an hour. So it's just like class. So we have our two corners, and we have to fill out the first and last terms. So the first box is going to be our first term from our equation, so our 3t squared, and our last box is going to be our last term.
Hi.
Oh, Parker's here. He says hi. I don't have the video camera going, so you can't see him, but that's all right. He's still in his PJs anyways. So then we want to kind of factor this out. So we have a t squared, so we know we're going to need a t and a t. But we also have this 3. So we have to figure out, does 3 go up top or does 3 go to the left? And we need
that makes sense.
So we need to look, does 3 and 2, does 3 and 2 have anything in common? And really, no, they don't. So then what about 3 and 6? Do 3 and 6 share anything?
They kind of do.
Yeah. Does 3 go into 6? Yes, 3 goes into 6, so we're going to put the 3
But what I was saying
on the side.
What I was saying was 3 and 2 still kind of are the same thing because they're both 1s.
They both have a 1 in common. So we could put a 1 up top if we wanted to, because then that still gives us 3 times 1, still gives us our 3. Very good. All right, so what we now need to figure out, let's look at the top of this next box. So we have 3 and we have 6. So we need to know 3 times what makes 6. So let's see here. 3 times 2 makes 6. And we would need a positive 2, so I'm going to write a plus. And then what about down below? We have a 2 down below. 1 is up top from it. 1 times what makes 2? And we would need another 2. And then this is where we check our answers. Does 2 times our 2 make our 4 in the last box? And yes, sure enough, it does. So we have our answers. We have our, I'm just going to write t plus 2 instead of 1t. And then we have 3t plus 2. And those side pieces, the top of the box and the side of the box, that's where our answers come from. All right. So let's try one more just for fun. And then we'll actually do a couple more, but I'll come back and do the rest of the video. Kind of just give you a couple examples to start with and then go from there. So now we've got to make the top of our diamond. We've got to multiply our first term times our last term. So we're going to do 2x squared times our negative 7. So 2 times negative 7, we get negative 14. and we have our x squared. And then the bottom of the diamond is going to be our 13x. So we want to know what multiplies to make 14, negative 14, that could add to make 13. Well, 14 is kind of a smaller one. We could do 14 times 1, or we could do 7 times 2. Now, which one of these in combination could give us a 13 in some way, shape, or form? Well, 7 and 2, 7 plus 2 is 9, 7 minus 2 is 5, so there's no way that 7 and 2 are going to get us a 13. 14 and 1, we could do 14 plus 1 is 15, or 14 minus 1 is 13. And so that's where we found our number. 14x minus 1x, that gives us our 13. And then to double check, 14 times negative 1 gives us our negative 14. So the hardest part of these problems is coming up with our new values. What fills the diamond out? And then our first box would be our first term. And you could always fill out the box beforehand if you wanted to. Last box is our last term. So we want to know what could factor out. Well, we have our x squared, so we know it's going to be an x and an x. We've got a 2, so does 2 go up top or does 2 go on the left? So does 2 go into 1 or does 2 go into 14? Now we can see 2 definitely goes into 14, so we're going to put it on the left. So then 2 times what makes 14? Well, that would be 2 times 7. That's where our 14x comes from. And then what makes our negative 1x? Well, I would need a minus 1. And just to double check, do I get from 7 and negative 1, does that make negative 7? Sure enough, it checks out. So here's our answer, 2x minus 1 and x plus 7. So just like we did before, just a couple more factoring problems, kind of checking through how all of these work together. So I'm going to stop the video here and I'll come back in just a second to do a couple more examples with you. If you feel like you've got it from here, go ahead and start working on the homework. If you need more practice, come on back.